Well guys, welcome back and thanks for watching. I'm Chris, and as you can probably tell, I'm back here again at the sawmill. Always have a great day at the sawmill. I find it lots of fun cutting up lumber, especially this time of year in the winter. The ground's all frozen. It's just a great time to get logs out, get some lumber cut up. We got a lot of projects on the horizon, so I got some cedar here. I'm going to try getting her as much cut up today as possible, so let's get to it. If you're back in the woods somewhere and maybe it's kind of difficult to get a tractor there, or you just don't want to spend the time bringing one back, I found that using these four-wheeler ramps is a great way to get lighter logs up onto the saw bunks for you. So I rolled this log over. It's cedar. It's about 16.5 feet long, and that's pretty much pushing it for the limits of the setup that I have here. It's 14-15 inches in diameter on this end and around 10 inches on the other side. For some reason I just like tested myself to see what I can do with one of these. It probably would be a lot easier with a loader for this one, but if you guys have been watching any of my other videos, I haven't owned this mill. I'm kind of, for that long, I'm kind of new to the whole lumber thing, so I just like to see what's possible with one of these, and I'm gonna just see if I can get this up on here or not. So if you've got a log of similar size and just a cant hook and some ramps, it definitely is possible to get it up on there with just that. Maybe not completely recommended if you don't like a lot of physical labor, but I like a challenge sometimes and to know what's possible or not. I guess now this log is just sitting how I cut it off the, sitting how it was when I cut it down, so I'm gonna just use the chainsaw here to trim it up so it's the right dimensions for the mill here. hopefully that'll give me enough length, or took enough length off rather. Well, there it is. I know that from using the mill in the past, that's right about the max cut that I can do. I might even have to take an inch or something off the log still. I'm gonna see if the bandsaw mill gets right through it or not, but as you can see, that's where it is there. And up here on the other end, I mean, there's maybe 3/4 of an inch space there, but you don't want it touching the blade when you start it up for obvious reasons. You want to get the blade spinning before it gets into the wood. But that's about the maximum length of log that I can cut right there. So let's get this mill fired up and see what we can get out of her. Well guys, just as I was setting the camera up here, I noticed another thing that you got to keep your eye out for. If this shows up on camera, this log here, it kind of has a curve right at the end like that. And as you can see right at the edge here, if I bring my mill up for you, you can kind of tell that this here will be hitting into the log as you cut through, so that will basically just stop your mill from moving forward at all, obviously. So in hindsight, what I probably should have done was spin this log around so this was over here, because there's a lot more room on this side of the track, but I didn't have that foresight, and it'll be just a lot easier for me to grab the chainsaw and nip that off, because with it curving out like that, the mill cuts straight, so the mill's just going to cut that off anyways. So I'll just save a bunch of work for myself and just nip that off with the chainsaw right now. If there's any more experienced sawyers out there watching this, they're probably laughing at me for the way I'm doing this, but you know, I know I'm a novice, I know I'm just learning, but I'm kind of making these videos for that purpose, for other people like me. Or I've had this for 6 months, so I'm just showing you the kind of things that I'm going through and learning about. As I'm learning more and more about it. So if there's anybody that's maybe just starting out or even thinking about getting a mill, I'm just making these little I don't know if I'd call them tutorials, but just little things that I'm dealing with as I go along and finding out about. So here we go. track cleaning debris. I'm pretty sure it was those chainsaw shavings that were stopping me going through. Well guys, that is literally as far as the mill can go, so I think I did a pretty good eyeball job on it there. Well guys, I got this first log canted up into a 6x6 post. It's 16 feet long, so I think I'm gonna leave that as is, and we can either use it for the deck or possibly something to do with the wedding. What I'm gonna do now is just switch over. I'm gonna grab a couple of these smaller logs here, and what I've done before is I'm just gonna cut two sides so that they're both maybe about 3 inches, and I'm going to use that to start a pile for stacking lumber on. I've got a bunch of stuff scattered around. You see some on the wagon there. I'm starting to get a bit of a pile on the sawhorses there, and I'm pretty bad sometimes at just keeping working, and then you end up with a big mess of stuff, and it just creates more work for you in the future. So I'm just going to take a bit of time and clean this area up. I just had a big stack of lumber in here, but it got taken out. My dad needed to use it, so I'm going to clean this up and kind of reset it up so that I can stack all the lumber on it that I'm cutting now and just keep things a bit more organized in here. So we'll get started on that now. Right, I think that's gonna work a lot better. I don't know if you can see down here, I just had some kind of one by 2, or it might be 1.5 inches by 2 inches, stacking my lumber on that in the summertime. That's just not going to cut it for the winter time, but live and learn. Just this snow gets up so high, and then your lumber just kind of disappears, and when you come in here to get it, you can't really find the bottom of it. So I cut this, that's just what you saw me doing. Then I'm gonna go back to the mill here, cut another one, put it here, and then I might take some shorter 2x4s and just put them up on their edge along here, and then that'll give me a good base that's up off the ground to start piling some of this lumber on. That one's a little short, but I'll get a longer one. But anyways, that's the idea that I have now. I'd love to have a better permanent way to do this, but I'm gonna have to do stuff like this for now. But anyways, I think you kind of get the idea. I just flattened the sides of these off, basically just to get me up off the ground. Those are 4 inches thick, and then I put these are another 4 inches high, so it gets me up 8 inches off the ground anyways. And then having these this way, once I get my lumber on, I'll be able to get the forks underneath it of the tractor or backhoe. And I only want it this wide just because with being able to pick it up with the forks, you don't want to make it too wide, then you're only getting half the pile or whatever. So I think this is one solution for my shorter lumber anyways, the 8 or 10 foot stuff I can get on here now. So you can kind of see here what I mean when you get such tapered wood like cedar, where up here you've got quite a bit of good lumber that you could get off it, but then it goes down to pretty much nothing at the other end. So I usually save up these kind of boards. They're from the outer perimeter of logs. I save up a few of them until it's worth making them into dimensional lumber. But I usually take this opportunity when I'm taking some off each side. I'll just take, say, an inch swaths off, and then since I know those are all the same that's coming off, I can use them as stickers for the lumber that I'm piling. I was doing some siding work for my aunt and uncle this summer, and this is some of the, I guess it's fiberglass. I think it's fiberglass roofing that they had on their carport, and they were gonna throw it out, but I'm glad I had the foresight to take it, because I figured it might come in handy for something like this, which it's going to, and I'll be able to keep the weather off of this pile of lumber. So a few weeks ago there, my uncle, he cut down a cherry tree, brought her up to the mill here, and we cut her up into some boards. But one of the things I made sure I did was I cut a couple half-inch boards here, because I love cooking salmon on cherry on the barbecue. And so last thing I'm gonna do before I head up tonight, I'm just gonna cut them into little planks so we can have some salmon on a cherry plank on the barbecue. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 planks, guys. That should keep me going for a while. That'll be nice. Anyways, it's starting to get a bit later in the day today, guys, so I'm going to call her quits for today. Thanks for watching, and I hope you tuned in again. Bye.